If anybody's still here, the fire's on Front Street and it's time to go.
It says everything about the ferocity of the fire on Hawaii's Maui Island, that even people in their boats on the water weren't safe.
The fire's on Front Street, it's time to go.
I was the last one off the dock when the firestorm came through, and I just ran out to the beach and I ran south and I just helped everybody I could along the way.
This escaping boat captured the horror as the harbour in the historic town of Lahaina was engulfed in flames. Hawaii is accustomed to wildfires, but nothing on this scale. Months of dry weather left the land parched and vulnerable, a tinderbox ready to ignite, which is exactly what happened when winds from the edge of a hurricane in the south ripped through the islands at 85 miles an hour. The result was immediate and catastrophic.
Beat the horn, beat the horn.
Locals and tourists caught unawares were suddenly fleeing for their lives.
Let's go! There's fire through there, go!
We just had the worst disaster I've ever seen. All Lahaina is burnt to a crisp, and it's like an apocalypse.
An apocalypse that was laid bare from above.
Oh my gosh! I can't believe it, Pete. This is like a war zone. This looks like Baghdad or something.
This pilot has been flying over Maui for 52 years and says he's never seen devastation like it.
But we were not prepared for what we saw. All the places that are tourist areas that are Hawaiian history are gone. You know, it can't be rebuilt. It's lost forever.
The town of Lahaina, seen here before the fire and after, has been totally wiped out. Hundreds of homes obliterated, shops and restaurants on Front Street, a mecca for tourists, razed to the ground.
We've been pulling people out since last night, trying to save people's lives. And I feel like we're not getting the help we need, you know? Oh my God.
In all, 36 people have died so far, the most deadly blaze on US soil in years. Thousands have been forced to evacuate, thousands more left without power. The catastrophe just the latest in a series of extreme weather-related disasters this year that scientists say are no doubt exacerbated by human-induced climate change. This man left the burning fires in Canada, but things went from bad to worse.
We were actually going to go to Greece this summer, but there's a lot of wildfires there, so we didn't go to Greece because of the wildfires, and we came here and there's wildfires.
The winds have now died down, allowing the US National Guard to battle the 3 separate blazes still burning on the island of Maui, as search and rescue efforts desperately continue and authorities warn the death toll could yet rise.
Siobhan Kennedy reporting. Well, joining me now is Erica Fleischman. She's the director of the Oregon Climate Change Research Institute. Thank you very much for coming on the program. I'm sure you share my shock, our shock at these extraordinary pictures of devastation, especially the historic town of Lahaina, which is the old capital of the Kingdom of Hawaii. And of course, the word unprecedented has been somewhat overused this summer, but it is unprecedented, isn't it?
It's something that hasn't been experienced within recent memory, that's for sure, and probably hasn't been experienced when there were anywhere near as many people in the area.
And what's to blame?
It's hard to say blame. One can say that a lot of things contributed to this incident. So you had, as some of your previous guests noted, you have much of the island being in mild to moderate drought, much of the island of Maui being in drought. You had those high winds that were a remnant of the hurricane that passed near the island. You have high numbers of people, and it's not clear yet what ignited this fire initially, but where there are many people, just inevitably there are more sparks. Temperatures have been high. It's really a coincidence of a lot of unfortunate circumstances.
So a lot of bad luck as well. So, for instance, hurricane season. Is it unusual to have hurricanes this early in the, well, I mean, it's the beginning of August. I mean, is it unusual timing for hurricanes? And can that also be a sign to climate change?
Well, hurricanes, the strength of hurricanes worldwide is changing. So hurricanes are not necessarily becoming more frequent, but they are becoming more intense in many parts of the world. And because sea levels are rising around the world, when hurricanes make landfall, you tend to have stronger storm surges, more flooding, and stronger negative effects on people. Now, those aren't necessarily tied to wildfires, but it's another type of extreme event that affects a tremendous number of people worldwide. And in terms of trends is linked to climate change.
And how much blame do you think, or fault should be assigned to intense agriculture on the island of Maui and new invasive species of plants that are not as fire resistant as the original ones were?
There's a worldwide trend in many ecosystems worldwide to very long-term replacement of natural vegetation or native vegetation with non-native vegetation. What we've seen in this area of Hawaii that's on fire is similar to what has happened in many Mediterranean climate parts of the world. So in the Mediterranean itself, in Australia, in the Western United States, where this is centuries of land use. This is centuries of how people have tried to make a living and how they have tried to live in these areas. You have a transition often to non-native grasses and shrubs that in many cases are more flammable than the native vegetation and that also do very well following fire. So I wouldn't say that it's agriculture's fault. I mean, we're seeing patterns that are related to worldwide human settlement and worldwide human population. I can say something about cause. I would hate to say blame.
Okay. If you look at the wildfire season in Europe as well, and of course we had the wildfires in Canada, it does seem to have been a particularly bad year, China as well, a particularly bad year across the globe.
Yeah, it is bad. There are some years that are worse than others. We're certainly, as you noted, seeing these types of events in many parts of the world. And I think in parts of the world that capture the world's imagination. So in some cases, what happens is there can be large wildfires in places where there aren't all that many people or that sort of don't capture global attention. And those are not necessarily reported. So certainly what's been happening this year is capturing the world's attention. And many of us hope that there will be a silver lining to that.
Okay, I hope you're right. Erica Fleischman, thank you very much indeed.